Explainer. Have you ever wondered why some apps just feel so incredibly good to use, even when you suddenly check your bank balance and realize it's, well, a lot lower than it was 10 minutes ago? Today, we're unpacking the hidden psychology behind your daily digital decisions. We're going to look at a very subtle, yet absolutely powerful phenomenon of how our apps quietly drain our wallets, and as the motion graphics in this explainer will illustrate, it happens right under our noses.
You know that familiar pulse of a notification? We all do. But I really want you to think about this question. Why do losing apps actually feel so good? Why can a satisfying little chime or a tiny jingle make us feel entirely victorious even when we literally just lost money or wasted an hour of our day? It feels totally counterintuitive, doesn't it? Well, it turns out there's a very specific, scientifically backed reason for it. And trust me, it is entirely by design.
All right, Section 1. The illusion of winning. Unpacking the deception. Let's dive straight into the sensory deception that is happening right in the palms of our hands every single day. To really understand this psychological trick that completely bypasses your logic, we need to define a core concept. It's called an LDW, or a loss disguised as a win. Basically, this is when a losing outcome is served up to you with sensory cues, things like sounds, flashing lights, or fun animations that you'd normally associate with an actual win. Think of a classic slot machine. Imagine you pull the lever and you get two matching symbols, but the third one is a near miss. Even though you just lost your hard-earned money, what does the machine do? It erupts. The bells ring, the lights flash, and it sounds exactly like a jackpot.
The discrepancy between reality and what your brain perceives here is just staggering. While reality dictates you just lost money on a near miss, those flashing lights completely short-circuit your rational thought process. Instead of recognizing the loss, your brain registers all that sensory input as a reward, which triggers a massive release of dopamine. It taps directly into your primal reward system, keeping you hooked, keeping you engaged, and most importantly, keeping you spending.
The research on this is absolutely fascinating. Researchers like Dixon, Harrigan, and Sandhu have actually found that these deceptive cues lead to increased persistence in play, even when a player is consistently losing. So the fundamental problem we're dealing with is that our brains just severely struggle to differentiate between a true win and a near miss when the sensory feedback is completely identical. The system is literally exploiting our natural biological inclination to seek out rewards.
And it gets deeper. Clark and his colleagues found that these near misses create an illusion of personal control. When you experience an LDW, that huge dopamine hit makes you subconsciously believe you can somehow influence outcomes that are completely 100% random. You start thinking, oh, I almost had it that time. I figured out the pattern. This illusion is a massive driver of continued engagement, basically tricking you into thinking your own skill is involved where there is absolutely none.
Moving right along to Section 2. Everyday apps, hidden losses, the Trojan horse.
You see, these tactics aren't just locked away in casinos anymore. They are the Trojan horse sitting in your pocket right now. And this brings us to a highly relatable story from our sources, which we'll call Sarah's coffee trap. So Sarah loved her morning coffee, right? And her favorite local cafe had this loyalty app, where if you buy 9 coffees, you get the 10th one free. Sounds like a great deal. But here's the catch. Every single time Sarah bought a coffee, the app would play this cheerful, celebratory jingle, and a huge shower of virtual confetti would just explode across her screen.
This story brilliantly illustrates the trap. The reality was that Sarah was accumulating financial losses. She was spending her money every single day. But the illusion created by the app was this constant mini win. She felt a rush, a real sense of progress, just because of the confetti and the jingle. The app completely masked her spending, making her chase a perceived reward that was constantly out of reach until the very end. She ended up spending way more than she ever intended, purely because of a cleverly designed audio and visual cue.
And the truth is, it's everywhere. It's not just loyalty programs or gambling. LDWs are baked into everyday life. Think about it. Social media likes, giving you a happy little ping, game notifications flashing brightly on your lock screen, or even productivity apps bursting with color when you check off some mundane chore. Anytime a positive sensory cue accompanies an action that ultimately costs you your time, your attention, or your money, you might very well be falling for an LDW.
Which leads us to Section 3, the reality check protocol, breaking the spell.
So the absolutely crucial point here is how we fight back against these psychological traps. It's not enough to just know they exist. We need a defense mechanism. And that brings us to a simple 3-step framework from our sources called the reality check protocol. Step 1. Identify the trigger. When you get that little burst of joy from an app, just pause. Ask yourself, what sound or animation just happened? Was it a true win or just a shiny distraction? Step 2. Quantify the cost. Immediately after that trigger hits, you got to be brutally honest with yourself. Ask what it actually cost you in money, time, or attention. Finally, step 3. Reframe the outcome. Instead of letting the app define your success with some cute animation, redefine it yourself. If you spent money, consciously acknowledge it as an expense, not a step toward a win. You have to consciously step in and rewire your brain to see the true outcome.
All right, Section 4, taking back your control, actionable tactics.
Knowing the protocol is great, but let's talk about real execution. Here are 3 defensive strategies you can implement right now, today. First, mute notifications strategically. Don't just silence your whole phone. That doesn't work. Specifically identify the apps giving you those deceptive reward sounds and selectively mute them to break that sensory feedback loop. Second, track your true progress manually. Don't rely on an app's celebratory animations to tell you how you're doing. Keep a separate manual tally of your actual real-world wins and costs. And third, you need to delay gratification.
Speaking of delaying gratification, let's look at the 10-minute rule. This is an incredibly powerful delay tactic. When you get hit by an LDW trigger, a near miss in a game, or that confetti shower after spending money, force a 10-minute pause before you make another purchase or continue playing. This delay is vital. It literally gives your rational brain the necessary time to boot back up and take over from your dopamine-flooded primal reward system.
Let's end this explainer with a rapid-fire self-test. I want you to think about the very last app you used where you felt a little rush. Did a sound make a small action feel like a big achievement? If you answered yes to that, you are more than likely dealing with an LDW.
Okay, here is the next question to ask yourself. Did I spend more time or money than I originally intended simply because I felt close to a goal? Think back to Sarah and her coffee trap. Ask yourself if the illusion of progress manipulated your actual real-world boundaries.
And the final question, am I relying on the app's feedback more than my own objective assessment? I really challenge you to question this. Are you letting a software algorithm designed by someone else purely to keep you engaged define what success and progress actually look like for you?
If you answered yes to any of those questions, don't worry, it is absolutely not your fault. Remember, these systems are meticulously designed to be this powerful. But understanding these subtle psychological tricks is the very first step to regaining control over your money and your mind. It's all about proactively building the mental tools to take back the wheel. So I'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. The next time your phone chimes with a bright, cheerful sound, who is actually winning? You or the app?